Good afternoon.
Hi.
Can you tell me who you are and what you do?
So my name is Bill Peduto. For 12 years I've been a member of Pittsburgh City Council, and the people of Pittsburgh have just given me the opportunity to become the mayor.
And congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. I think it's so exciting. I don't look at you as a politician. I've always seen you kind of like as a person, as a real person. So, who is Bill Peduto?
He's a kid that grew up in the suburbs, about a quarter of a mile from the city border in Scott Township. My dad was a school teacher who became a salesman before he passed away. He was a school teacher. My mom raised 4 boys. I'm the youngest of 4 boys, raised by my grandfather as well, who came over from Italy. And just a guy who loves this city. Made a commitment early on in my life that I was going to be born, raised, live, die in Pittsburgh. And also had a love for history and government, and that sort of led me into politics. But there was never politics in my family, and we never even had a yard sign or anything else. It was just a really strong commitment to seeing the city come back. My friends left during the 80s and the 90s, never to return. They're raising their families all around the country, and I just thought maybe if we fought, we'd be able to turn the corner, and I think we're starting to do that now.
Now, are you a college?
Yeah, I went to Penn. Well, I started out at Carnegie Mellon. Couldn't keep my grades to keep my scholarship, so I ended up at Penn State, and then I earned my master's degree from the University of Pittsburgh.
So, how does it feel right now? Has it sunk in?
No, that's the honest truth. It's almost like there's a separation between everything that we've been working towards for a long time, knowing that it's right around the corner, and just, my God, how much work we have to do before we get to that just around the corner. And maybe it's a self-defense mechanism that I don't want to feel like that's right there, and I don't know why. But right now it just seems like there's so much work that we need to get done between now and the end of the year that all the other things around it aren't really, they're not hitting up here.
So, when you say so much work, what does that mean?
Well, we want to be able to restructure city government. Right now, it doesn't really connect with people. It's sort of, people know what the problems are within their own community, and it's like you have to go through 7 layers before you can get a truck to come out and fill a pothole. We want to make it so that there's direct action and that people feel that their government's more a part of them. And so doing that means there's a lot of restructuring that has to happen, and we only have 2 months to do it so that we hit the ground running. So it's a lot of weight right now. That's my main goal for the next 6 weeks, is to focus in on restructuring city government. New positions, new titles, and new people.
Yes, new people. Some of the people that you're putting in as your cabinet people, I think, are good choices.
Yeah.
And some of them are pretty new. So, as you're looking at Bill Peduto right now and in the past, what do you think has been the hardest part of your life?
Wow. It's easy to answer that. The hardest part was losing my brother. So I lost him when I was 27 years old. He was the one who was closest in age to me. And I lost my dad. I lost my uncle who helped to raise me. I lost my grandfather who did raise me. But there's something very different when you lose a sibling. It's just not natural. So hardest part in career, probably the time that after Bob O'Connor died and when Luke came in, and it seemed like the whole world got turned upside down. All the things that I was fighting for seemed to go to the other direction, and there was a lot of times then when I decided, well, should I still do this? There's other opportunities out there, and I had a lot of soul searching during that time. But what I found is, life's like this. It's a bunch of hills and valleys, and how you react when you're down in that valley, really, when you get back, will make you understand more about you than at any time when you're on top. And maybe that's why this self-defense is there, not to say you're at the top, because I had to work so hard when I was down below that I don't want to lose that. I want to be up there and still work real hard.
Okay. Now, you said death as one of the hardest things that you've had to deal with. Right now, a part of you is dying because you're being resurrected.
I feel that.
So as you're being resurrected, where do you really see yourself now being resurrected going?
The things that make me the happiest are when I'm walking down the street and somebody who I have no idea will be like, Peduto! And I stop and I hold their hands and I give them a hug. If I can help people if I can like share what I have right now, this sounds really cliche, all politicians say this, but it's really true. If I can use that and use the power that I'm given to empower others, then I think we'll transform Pittsburgh. Because there's a lot of areas in the city right now that have seen nothing for 50 years, my entire life. And there are little ways to make people feel like they're more of a part of their government. And I can assure you, if you do that, they're going to want to get more involved, because that type of feeling that they have power over getting a stop sign at the end of their street, over getting that tree that's been dead for 2 years actually removed, will make them want to stay involved and to get more engaged. So where I want to use that, people have asked, they said, you got to be so excited. I'm like, I'm not. I feel at peace. And I say, I feel like Gandhi. It's like, there's a guy who was like, at peace and was able to do good things. If I can use that and to be able to be above all the pettiness, the politics, and the nonsensical fights and bring people together, this city's going to knock it out of the park. So I have this really amazing opportunity. I can see it, but it's more about what I can get people to do than what I'm going to be able to do.
That's going to be the hardest thing, just getting other people to see the dream. You seem like you have a strong faith.
I do.
And that's really a good thing. So what is the significance of inclusion, i.e. diversion, to your administration?
It's the key, in a sense, because there's a lot of different voices in Pittsburgh, and not everyone agrees on the same issues. So if you bring a lot of people to the table, you get a lot more ideas. You get a lot of different thoughts on how to approach something, and you have the ability. It's almost like making soup. You don't make soup with one ingredient. You put in a lot of different ingredients, and when it combines together, you make something special. So when we looked at creating the executive office in the city, we wanted it to be the most diverse mayor's office in the city's history. What we ended up creating is the most diverse mayor's office in America. But the best part about it, it's the most talented mayor's office that this city's ever seen, with people with more years of experience and leaders of each of their different fields, and they combine together in that way that brings diversity together in a way we haven't seen before in Pittsburgh. If we can get that in government, I want to be able to show that to different companies and corporations in town. Look at what we were able to build. We didn't have to look very far in order to be able to build it. And hopefully they get that same idea and understand the talent's here. It's just about pulling it all together.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned business, and I look at economic development, and they say small business is the engine. So how do you see small businesses really being able to play a significant role in what you're doing and in this region?
So I see it as combining. It almost fits like pieces of a puzzle. If we can encourage entrepreneurism, and that doesn't, we get this idea that it's a bunch of kids from CMU doing software engineering. It's not. It's the guy that works at Pep Boys that wants to open up his own transmission shop. It's the person that wants to open up their own restaurant or their own business. And what do we have? We have land. We've got these business districts and neighborhoods that haven't seen development come in. We can incentivize entrepreneurs, individuals, to open their businesses within neighborhoods that have seen no growth, and at the same time be able to rebuild communities with new businesses. Now, what our model has been, well, let's incentivize retail. We'll give Walgreens this or Target this, and we're building brick and mortar, but we're not building community. So if you invest in people and then put them in the communities that need to see the redevelopment, you're going to rebuild community. So to me, they fit hand in hand. Government's role is not to create it. Government's role is to bring it together. You have an idea, you have a business, we have a program to put you here. If you want to be here, we want you to be able to receive the incentive in order to do it. And then watch what happens. Because you know what's going to happen when you have 3 or 4 of those businesses located on Homewood Avenue? A new coffee shop's going to open. You know what's going to happen after that? A new restaurant. And then all of a sudden you'll see from Ray Street all the way down to Penn Avenue, Homewood Avenue coming back. You'll see in Beachview on Broadway Avenue the same thing happening. You'll see all these wonderful old business districts that were the lifeline of our neighborhoods being restored. And once we start seeing that happen, then you'll see people move back in.
So people are very important to you. So you plan on having a open door policy where people will be able to get to you to give you their ideas, their opinions.
No, we intend to go to the neighborhoods in order to let the will come to the people. So what we want to do is go neighborhood by neighborhood, starting with the neighborhoods that need the most help, bringing the team out to them and starting to build community plans. I started that back in 1995 in East Liberty, back when East Liberty was on its knees. We had gang wars. I mean, everyone remembers, I won't even mention the names, but they were very much involved in a lot of the drug dealing that was going on, heroin epidemic that was happening. The last businesses that just moved out, Bell Atlantic left at Highland and Center, and Sears had gone, and nobody was moving in. And instead of like coming in with the city, we came in with the community and started saying, what do you want to see? What don't you want to see? What's here you don't want to lose, and what's here you want to get rid of? And we created over 2 years a community plan for East Liberty. And that was from 1995 to 1998. And by 2000, we were breaking ground on new development. I want to see that same model all over the city and neighborhoods that need it. But I'm not going to ask people to come to the mayor's office to do it. We're going to bring the mayor's office to them.
Mm-hmm. Now, what advice would you give to someone interested in going into politics or following in your footsteps?
Stay away. Go get a real job. No. That's what my mom would at least say. I would say, if you're like me and you don't have anybody in your family that has been in it, you don't have an in, you're going to have to do a lot of hard work. And the first thing you're going to have to do is volunteer. Find candidates that you believe in. Don't just jump on anybody's campaign, but find people you believe in and volunteer. Every campaign is always looking for volunteers. If you apply yourself and you're able to do well, by the time the next campaign comes, they're going to be looking for you. And then once they start looking for you, they're going to start to pay you. And then they're going to want you to come on board with them into government. It's very difficult because so many young people in particular, but also older people who are looking to change their job, want to jump in the middle. And government and politics is an industry all to itself. It's very hard with any job to jump in the middle. But if you're willing to do the hard work of building yourself up from volunteer up, you have much more likelihood, because then people will see what talent you bring, how the work that you put into it. And basic human nature is, you were there for me when I needed you. I want to try and find something for you now that I've got up. Anybody who you work for in politics that has a soul will always want to reach down and pull the people up that were there once they go up a couple rings on that ladder. So that's the way to do it. Mm-hmm. Start at the base and work up.
Mm-hmm. Who have some of your biggest influences been?
Not politicians. I mean, I don't have like any influential people. Within my family, my grandfather was very, very involved. I mean, he came over to this country in 1921, and like I said, he had a second grade education, worked 38 years in a mill, doing the night shift in Carnegie. Ended up speaking English and Italian, learning to drive a car, raising his family during the Depression, and helped me raise me. He was a carpenter in the mill, so he taught me how to saw a piece of wood, drive a nail straight, how to plant a garden, how to can food. But he was also just a good man. So he was very instrumental in my upbringing, and at the same time was very much a disciplinarian. So I got that from him. Just on a world basis, I've inspired by three leaders. Mahatma Gandhi, who I mentioned before, who I read a lot about him and what he wrote. Martin Luther King and Mother Teresa. And I think that within each of them, there was a pureness to what they tried to do, that even though they were doing it in different ways, was based fully 100% on their mission. And they're inspirational people. Then they'll never be able to come close to any of the things they've done in life, but at the same time, I have examples of how people could dedicate their lives to something like that.
If you had time to sit back and think about who is Bill Peduto, what would you say are your biggest dreams?
I'm realizing my biggest dream right now. So There's only one job in politics other than council that I want, and that's to be the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. Council gave me an opportunity to learn the ropes on one part of the city while working on issues all around the city, but my political dream, career-wise, has always been to be the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh for all of Pittsburgh. I love this city. I don't think I'll ever run for another elected office. I'm not doing this to run for something else. I'll choose another career afterwards, but I intend to use these next few years as the opportunity to really see this city come back 100%. Not just parts of it, not just parts of the economy, all of it.
Mm-hmm. When you had said, you were talking earlier and you mentioned Bob O'Connor, and that was one of the things that he always wanted to be, was the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. Yeah. That was one of the things he wanted.
It was Judy O'Connor who told me right after the election, third time's the charm.
Mm-hmm. So now, thinking about Vernar Alexander, tell me a few words about Vernar Alexander. What do you think about him?
I'll give you one word. Bridge. Vern's a bridge. He's a person who brings concerns of people to people that can make a difference, and brings people who can make a difference to the concerns of people. He uses social media to do it. He uses traditional ways to do it. You find me one person in the city who knows him who doesn't like him. There are none. Everyone that knows the guy loves him, and he has that ability with his kindness and his heart to be able to bring people's interests together with the people that can help to make a difference in their lives. We need about 1,000 more Verns, and if we had them, then this city would be not just a city that would be most livable in this country, it would be the most livable in this world.